Hey everybody, this week we're going to talk about Joseph in the book of Genesis, and right at the beginning of Joseph's life, right before he was in Egypt. So go ahead and listen to the story. This story is found in the very first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. Joseph had 10 big brothers and one little brother. He loved God and he loved his family. His father loved Joseph very much. He gave him a special present. It was a new coat with lots of colors. He showed his new coat to his brothers. Joseph's brothers were grumpy and jealous. They wanted the colorful new coat. They told Joseph to go away and were unkind to him. The big brothers went to look after the sheep. One day, his dad told Joseph to find them. Joseph put his new coat on straight away. He always obeyed his father. It was a long way to go. Joseph had to ask someone the way. When he saw them, he called out and waved, but his brothers were still grumpy. They were not kind and took his coat away. Then they put him down in a big hole. Joseph was sad, but he remembered that God was always with him. The brothers saw men coming on camels. They were traders going to Egypt. The brothers took Joseph and sold him to them. The men took Joseph away to sell him as a servant who would work hard for whoever bought him. Joseph prayed and asked God to help him. He knew that God is always with us and wants us to do what is good and right, and so Joseph knew God would look after him in Egypt. So a lot went on in this story, didn't it? So first, Joseph got this coat. It was really colorful. It was like a rainbow, wasn't it? And his brothers didn't like that. Why do you not think they liked that? Because he had something special that they didn't have, right? Have you ever had one of your brothers or sisters or your friend have a really cool toy and you didn't have one and you were kind of upset about it? Probably, yeah. I think it's happened to all of us. So that's kind of what happened to Joseph's brothers, and they got really jealous. So jealous that one day they decided they didn't want to see Joseph ever again, and they sold him, and they took him all the way to Egypt. So, we learned about the 10 Commandments a couple weeks ago, and what commandment did Joseph's brothers break? Not to covet and not to be jealous, right? So they broke one of the rules, and they weren't very nice, were they? No, they completely got rid of him. So that's why we have rules in the 10 Commandments. It's help us to love each other. And this story kind of shows us what happens if we don't follow them and we don't love each other. Bad things happen, right? But Joseph, he was scared, right? Wouldn't you be scared if people were selling you? But he trusted in God, and he knew in his heart that God was going to keep us safe. And that's true for all of us. As long as we're trusting in God and knowing that God's always with us, God's always going to love us no matter what happens. And God is going to be in our lives and help to keep us safe. That doesn't mean nothing bad is ever going to happen to us. But God is with us through those bad times and makes those bad times better. So we're going to make a craft to help us remember this story. We're going to make Joseph and his coat. For this craft, you want different colored strips of paper, a paper bag. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your colorful pieces of paper, and we are going to cut them. We're going to first cut them so we get some long strips. That should be plenty. And then I'm going to take the strips I cut, and I'm going to cut them the other way so I get a bunch of little squares. You may just have to cut half of them at a time. I just found out my paper was a little bit too thick for my scissors to get through. And then I get a bunch of different little squares that are really, really colorful. I still need to cut these two because my paper was two different sizes. So I'm going to cut the yellow and the orange long ways, and then I'm going to stack them up. And then I'm going to cut them. So that was the first step. And then I want to take my paper bag. I want to make sure the side with the bottom is facing me. And I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to spread a lot of glue on the bottom half of the bag. Make sure I cover the whole thing in glue. And then I'm going to take my colorful strips of paper and I'm going to start spreading them all over the bottom half of the bag. You can see it's getting really colorful already, can't you? This is Joseph's coat. So make sure you put plenty of different colors and spread the colors out. You're probably going to have a few more little pieces of paper than you need. You're probably going to cut way more than you actually need. But that's okay. It's always better to have too much than too little most of the time for crafts. So then you put all your pretty colors down. As you get here, close to the end, you may have to start putting glue on your pieces of paper to make them stick. Because we've covered up a lot of the glue already, haven't we? I really like green, so I'm going to put a little bit of extra green on mine. Now I want to start putting glue on my pieces and sticking them down so it is like completely covered in my colors. I don't want any part of the paper bag showing down here, or at least as much as you can get covered. I think this is just about good. And then I'm going to take my googly eyes and I'm going to glue them on the top of the bag because the bag is Joseph. And then I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to give Joseph a nice happy face because he really likes his coat. And then you can put your hand into your paper bag and put your fingers right here. And you can make Joseph's head move and Joseph kind of talk. So here is your craft. So I hope you had fun this week, and I'll see you in Sunday school. Bye!